What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Real Reefing TV, where I discuss my real experiences in the hobby, give you guys real knowledge that you can use on your tanks. Today, we're gonna be doing something that I've been long awaiting. I've had this stuff sitting in my spare bedroom for weeks, and you know why? Because I haven't had the time to be able to do it and give you guys the video that you deserve to document the process. So tonight I've got some extra time, so I thought, what the hey, let's throw the camera on the tripod, grab the buckets of goo, and let's do it. That's what she said? I don't know. Anyways, what I have is some Walt Smith Fiji Refugium mud. Anyways, what we're gonna do with this stuff is we're gonna start the Refugium that I've been wanting to start, like I said, for weeks. In an earlier episode, I was talking about the red slime algae that I have growing up in the tank. It's unsightly, I wanna get rid of it. I did replace the GFO, but I'd like to add in some different nutrient export methods. At one point I did have biopellets on the tank, but it was stripping everything to zero. I want something that I can kind of tune a little bit more. So with the Refugium, when I'm growing macroalgae to remove those nutrients, I can kind of turn the lights on and off and kind of change that photo period. So I can have it from, say, a 12-hour photo period. If I'm taking out too many nutrients, I can switch it down to, say, an 8-hour period or a 10-hour period. Or if I start out at 8 and I'm not taking out enough, I can go to a 10 or a 12 and just try to take out more of those nutrients by growing that algae more aggressively, if you will. So, a couple of things that we need. Number one, we need the Refugium mud itself, which is right here. We'll take a look at what this actually looks like, because I feel like there's not really a lot of great videos on YouTube on this stuff. I was trying to do a little bit of YouTube U-search myself. I think I just made up a word. You're welcome for that. So, but I was trying to do some YouTube research myself, and I was finding that there was not a lot of great videos on this stuff. I mean, basically, like, people are just throwing it in their tanks or showing you what it looks like, which is interesting to know, but I'd also like to see it in application and over the long term. And so by you guys subscribing to this channel, you'll be able to watch that long-term growth and see how it really benefits the system, which I'm interested to see myself. So we've got the Refugium mud. What we're also going to need is something to light the Refugium with. So I did a little bit of research. I saw a lot of people were having really good success with just these cheap LED bulbs that were made for horticulture. So that's what I picked up. These are just they're just cheap LED lights. I'll throw the link where you can find them in the description below, but they have red and blue LEDs in them, which are really great for kind of the wavelengths that your macro algae or plants use for photosynthesis. So these are gonna run great on this system. The other thing that I needed is something to power the light bulbs with. So again, on Amazon, went ahead and did some research, found some cheap light sockets that can plug in very easily. And we'll go ahead and we'll control these with the Apex system. So we'll find a plug somewhere. I don't know, I'm like running out of plugs on this thing. But we'll find a plug somewhere where we can plug it in. We'll plug both of them into that same plug, and then we'll plug that in. So they'll be both controlled by the same outlet on the Apex. And that's where we'll control that photo period that we're talking about. Third thing is, I'm gonna need some water to go ahead and fill this space. I've got a 20-gallon long sitting here plumbed into my sump. If you missed the video on plumbing that I had this past Friday, go ahead and check that out and follow the card above. But basically, I've got, so I don't know if you guys can see right over here. There's a push connect fitting with 1/4 inch tube, kind of like your RO tubing that goes around, and then we'll come out right here and we'll fill up the 20 gallon, and that's where the water will be circulating from. So it'll come from the main pump, be pumped into here, and then will overflow. There's a bulkhead and a strainer that is over here that that will then overflow into the sump nice and passively, so it's not going to chop up those copepods and amphipods and all this sort of good stuff that's going to be coming out of this sump and coming out of the refugium and into the sump. It's not going to be chopping those up. So just one chop house, and that would be the main return pump. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out what's in these buckets. Let's see. So these buckets do come with a tab on them that you'll have to pull off, and so this one is sealed. This is a fresh one. The other one I had opened up because I wanted to see what it looked like. You guys were killing me with the suspense here, making me wait so I could make this video for y'all. Hope y'all appreciate it. But let's get this guy opened up and see what it is. Now, from what I've been told, it has this kind of like reddish and really mucky look. It is also packaged in water. So my understanding of this stuff is that it is straight from the reefs of Fiji. They pump it up, and so you can kind of see it's like kind of nasty looking almost. It's got some red and red look to it, and brown and black. So let's get it opened up. Oh. I mean, there's probably like a little bit of water down in there. You can see it. The rubber band's just from this. So it's double bagged. Can you see that? So here's kind of the consistency of it. It's real fine mud. Real fine. So let's go ahead and let's get it popped into this refugium. So that's the first step, is getting this in and getting it kind of spread around evenly along the bottom. So let's go ahead and dump this out. And I want all of this. I want everything that's in here, so I'll probably get some water and rinse that out. Maybe give it a little dip from my sump or something, and I'll get as much out of this as I possibly can. Cause you can see, I mean, there's a good little bit left in that bag there. So I'm gonna mash this down. What's also funny is I was like trying to do some research on this also on Instagram, and there are people that go to Fiji and spread this stuff all over themselves, and they like pay for it. They get in these Fiji mud baths and they like spread this all over themselves. So it kind of has like a stank to it, like a little bit, like not like a rotten stank, but I don't know. I mean, I guess this smells like mud. Like there's some hard particles in it. I don't know what this is. This might be a stone. Okay, let me get this rinsed off for you real quick. All right, guys, so I'm not gonna tell you what that looks like, but y'all can make the determination for yourself. Actually, what it is a piece of rock, but it's quite interesting. I might actually throw this thing on eBay and let you guys bid on it. Phallic-shaped rock found in Walt Smith Fiji Mud. There you go. That's what the description's gonna be. I'll go ahead and plop that guy back in there. Ain't no problem with that. All right, got the second ball in. Let's spread this guy out. Ugh. All right, that was 24 pounds of Refugium mud in a 20-gallon long, and I'd say put about an inch and a quarter worth along the whole bottom. This stuff is really thick though, so it'll definitely do some nitrification. The other point to this mud is that it's already live. This stuff is pumped straight out of the ocean in those refugium, or in those refugium, in those kind of reef mud pits, and pumped out, and then they put them in these bags and send them to us. That's what I think anyways. They may be just like literally shoveling mud into a bag and I'm buying it. The world may never know. However, I am going to believe that there are good people in this world and that this is real Refugium mud from Fiji, because why else would I pay $40 a bucket? All right, so yeah, hands still muddy. Just bear with me. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of the water from the sump, the clean water, and we're gonna wash these bags out. We're just gonna throw some of that water in this bag, and then we're gonna swish it around. Now it's okay if a little bit of this mud gets in there. We don't want a lot of it because we don't wanna kind of like silt our tanks. So I'm just gonna pour like a cup in there and then swish that around inside, because I wanna try to get some of this, man. I'm afraid of my life is crap. All right, now easy does it. Ah, that's looking a lot cleaner. And I think I got a good little bit out of there, so that's good. I'm happy. I'm happy about that. I'm happy. All right, let's get some more water and do the other bag. Good idea to keep a towel on hand, folks. One more little scoop. I noticed that there was some kind of like congealing in the corners, so make sure we get that. All right. Perfect. Yeah, that looks a lot cleaner. Getting my money's worth. All right, it's a lot of work. All right, so I'm gonna rinse off my hand in there and kind of same deal, get some of this water, rinse my hand off. Now that I've got the mud in here, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is grab some water out of my water storage unit, always keeping salt water on hand, pro tip for you. For instances like this, you never know when you're gonna need water for. You never know when you're gonna need water for a water change or an emergency water change or whatever. Anyways, keep some salt water on hand. I don't care if that's just 5 gallons, 10 gallons, something like that. It's helpful to have. So I'm gonna grab about I don't know, 15, 20 gallons worth of salt water, bring it in here, and go ahead and add it to the system, and then let this baby fill up and start running it. It's pretty much that simple. Then we'll go ahead and get the lights wired up and get them bad boys on. Next step after that is really just to get my my macro algae of choice, which in this case is gonna be Chaetomorpha or Chaeto or Chaeto or Keto, whatever you wanna call it. If you've seen it around, it's that green stringy stuff, looks like spaghetti, usually in a tight little green ball. That's what's gonna go in here, and the stuff grows like crazy. So that's what's gonna go in here. All right, so I grabbed some water. I wanted to give you guys a tip you can use whenever you're trying to fill up a tank and you don't want the sand being disturbed, or like this Refugium mud, it's super, super fine. So any real disturbance to it is gonna kick up a lot of dust and fines, and that's just gonna be, kicked over into your sump or up into your display tank and over your corals and your sand, and it's gonna be unsightly. So what I did was I grabbed a Frisbee. Yeah, really anything. A bucket lid would work. So like for instance, the bucket lids that came on those buckets for the Refugium mud, these would work just fine for that purpose. But basically what you're doing is you're putting a flat surface that the water can hit and then easily flow off onto the rest. And typically with a frisbee, it will float on top of the water, so it doesn't get that kind of water splooging down and then disturbing it. It will hit this and then continue to flow over into the rest of the aquarium or refugium or whatever it is that you're filling up. Pro tip. So let's go ahead and get this water in here. All right guys, got the water in here. It took about 15 gallons. You gotta remember that it's not filling all the way up to the top, and there's a layer of that mud there at the bottom, so that's taking up some of the area inside of the tank, so it doesn't take a full 20 gallons to fill up this 20-gallon tank, because there's other things in there taking up that space. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna let this settle out. Tomorrow night, I'll come back, we'll finish up the rest of this video for you, where we'll go ahead and we'll get in the lights and hopefully pick us up some Kato or Chato, or again, whatever you want to call it, and get this stuff growing.